views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Standing at the door, looking back at life as it's been before.
Hi, this is Lainey Risto, and you are joining Soul Chat. We're live today, and we have a guest coming in, and thanks to Las Vegas traffic, she has gotten a little tangled up, so you get to listen to me for a while. This is Soul Chat, like I said, and we talk about all topics and events that affect body, mind, and spirit, and an alternative healing, spiritual healing, that kind of thing. I'm going to say that yesterday was 2 days ago. It was really kind of exciting because we had snow in Las Vegas, and I was just talking to some friends up in the Northwest earlier today, and they said it was a balmy 75 degrees, and they're out in shirt sleeves, and I said, well, guess what? I can't get warm enough. So there you go. One of the things we're going to talk about today, for those of you that got notices, and if you're interested in getting notices, you can send an email to me at info@elenaristo.com, elenaristohealer.com, and that's ELENARISTOHEALER. And we are going to, I just had somebody, this is one of those crazy days where you just wish, could anything go right? It would be just wonderful if it went right. Anyway, so you can send me an email, or you can give me a call, 702-308-8464. And I can add you to an email list or a text message if you'd like to get one, or send you to a website that'll talk about what we do. We also have a Soul Chat channel on YouTube, and so you go to YouTube and you type in Soul Chat LV, and there's spaces between Soul and Chat and LV, and all of our shows from last May up until now are on there. And usually we get the show on probably within an hour or two after it's recorded. We have a lot of people that watch afterwards, so you can watch it whenever you want, however you want to. You can watch it while you're eating popcorn or cookies or in your soft clothes, as a friend of mine says. And with that, I'm just going to start the show talking about what I learned about myself last week, which is something we've been doing for a while now. And it's been a very interesting few days, especially the last week or so. And I've had a lot of people calling me about the last week, and they will say, it's just really weird. The energy's just really weird, and things are suddenly happening, or I can't get going, which was part of the problem I had this week, is I just couldn't seem to get going. And I was really relieved when I talked to a couple of friends of mine who were very intuitive, and they were having the same issues, so we all decided to sit and talk on the phone and not get going together. It has to do with the shifting energy. And the energy has been shifting since probably last fall. We've talked about the full moons that we had. We had 2 full moons last year that were supermoons, and there were strange alignments, really rare alignments astrologically. So there was a lot going on, and it really was about cleaning up the energy of the universe, cleaning up the energy of people's lives. So a lot of you noticed things going on, like relationships were suddenly ending, or relationships were starting to get kind of dicey, and maybe just now they suddenly ended. I know I've had a couple of people I've talked to in the last couple of weeks that have had relationships that they thought were sure things that all of a sudden have ended. I've had a couple in my life that were that way. One of the relationships that ended was the one with my mother, who in this reality passed away on January 12th. And so I've been kind of going through a grieving process, although I say kind of, because last year I said goodbye to her 3 times. We had situations where hospice had been called in. We had been told that it was going to, she was on a very short timeline, and then we would go in and we'd be all ready for this, and they'd take her off of medication, and all of a sudden she'd get better. So this went on until January 12th. So I've had this, my guest co-host just showed up. Just slide right in there, girl. Hi. So I was just talking about the relationships that have been changing, and George will kind of guide you through what's going on here. Yeah. This way. You got to come this way. Scoot, 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 scoot. Here we go. Here we go. We're highly directed here, as you can tell. I was just talking about the relationships. I've had a lot of people calling me this last week about relationships that have suddenly ended, or they didn't see it coming. And I was talking about the energy that's going on. Some people have suddenly started relationships when they didn't think they were going to. So the energy that's going on right now, for lack of a better way to say it, in the universe is it's just a time. And Mary Rose, who comes on here, in fact she'll be here next week, talks about we're coming out of the energy of the dark ages fully and into the energy of the light ages. Now this is an energetic thing. Right. So this is kind of what's going on out there. Plus the fact people have been, anything that they've been holding on to longer than they should have is going away. That's just pretty much how it's going to be.
And I agree with that. Mercury, as we know, has just come out of retrograde, and that was, I believe, over the weekend.
Actually, it finished on about on the 15th. It was done. But it came out on about the 12th, 11th or 12th, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And so, as you were saying, with in retrospect to relationships, yes, that is true, that a lot of people are finding a lot of confusion with the energy and holding on to different things that they do need to let go at this point in time.
Which is what the energy of Mercury does. It's basically about revisiting, relearning things that you've left behind that you need to look at and either let them go or fix them. It's a possibility of going back and taking care of things like you haven't taken care of them before.
Which I agree with. Which a few things have also come into my life that have been in my life that I also have done. I had to let go of a few things that I also was holding on to, and there are a few things that I am revisiting because I do plan on correcting them.
Yeah. So this part of the show, and this is my co-host. This is, if you want to say who you are.
Well, I'm Deborah Aiken.
Deborah Aiken, right. This part of the show, how we always start the show is I always talk about what I learned about myself last week. So that's the part I'm in. And so with all of these relationships that I've had to let go of, what I've learned is that there's still a part of me, even though I think I'm pretty tough, there's a part of me that needs to sit down and just and just let it happen. But the other thing is that I discovered that there was like this framework that I have lived with for a long time, things that I believed were true, like steel girders, that are coming down. They aren't necessarily the truth anymore, especially at my age when I've gotten here and looked back and like the structure of things that I've held on to, like music. You and I have talked about music before.
Right, because that's been our passion since childhood.
Yeah, right.
You fortunately pursued your music career. I, in my latter years, will pursue it.
Well, and I pursued it, but I never really stepped into it fully like I wanted to. I never, for the amount of talent that I have, I never really did that. And so now I'm at a place where I'm looking at, okay, so how do I want to do this? And do I want to do it like that anymore? And does it hold any meaning? And it's changing. It's definitely changing. So I've had a week of, well, it looks kind of daunting. It's overwhelming to look at something that I've held on to, and I think I have to take it apart in a certain way. And all of a sudden, I would just rather go play solitaire. I just want to sit with it. I don't want to do it. But what I learned is that the structure that I think is in place is something I made, and it may not be the truth. It may be. I can take it apart just like that. And of course, you're a hypnotherapist, so you've seen it. Yeah.
Besides the fact of being a hypnotherapist, that's pretty much what our topic is about today: creating your own reality. And so, therefore, as you were just saying, you have created your own reality. Right. And a lot of us do create our own reality and want to believe that either. And this is not a religious. A show, but we're more of a spiritual nature, you myself and
it's part of it.
And a lot of people, but religiously, whether you come from a religious background or whether you have been told by your parents or whomever reared you what life was supposed to be like,
or how you were supposed to do it,
then that is your reality. but actually, in essence, it is someone else's reality that you are living. So it takes some of us a longer time. Some of us realize that at a early age on, and it takes some of us at a much more matured age to realize we're not truly living our reality.
Mature. I like that. It's better than older.
Mature, because you're as old as you feel.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
It is true, because I'm looking at the world through the same 16-year-old eyes.
And you can.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, I look at it and go, seriously, or I see some old rocker on stage that was young when I started, and they've obviously aged, and then I go, oh, okay, so have I. That would be me too, you know.
Well, if you would like to jump into it, again, I bought you your journals.
Oh, how nice. That's really cool. So any of you that got noticed, so there's 2 of them here?
Right. What it is there's actually 3 formats of my journal.
Oh.
And my journal was actually called Your Daily ATM Deposit Journal.
And you told me on the phone people got that confused with the
Right.
With the bank
people
thing.
ran from my journals because they thought it had something to do. And actually a good friend of mine, he told me when I asked some of my prospective family members, friends, and associates what they thought about my book cover, he actually told me that he would run from it or he would bypass it if he saw it. And the reason he would do that is because he felt like it had something to do with money, and you know, people, anything having to do with money, if your mindset is not geared towards you can have more and you think in lack, then yeah, you may run from my book. So now I had to, inside my book, I actually explain what your daily ATM deposits are daily.
Let's step back a minute, because I want to talk about the spiritual part of money, and we've had somebody on here before we talked about that.
Okay.
Because I think in our Western culture, or today's culture, that we've taken the spirituality out of things, it all has to happen at the same time. And somebody just called me last night and said, so what did you mean when you said money is just energy? And I said, well, that's what it is. It represents energy. Because in the days when we used to trade in chickens, it was easier. It was easier to understand what it was.
I tried to help you out with the age thing. Now you just told on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I grew up on a farm. Anyway, in the days when we used to barter, was the way that we paid for things. You had something you valued that I wanted, and you said, well, give me something that I value, and we did this thing. And because of all of our cultures, and because of history, and because of how we started traveling a lot, we had to have a common way of being able to represent that. And that's simply what money is a common way to represent things of value.
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
It. But
I agree with you.
And I think what happens is people start using money, they start looking at it to fix things that money can't fix. Emotional problems. They put emotions attached to it, so that really there really isn't any reason for it. Now, do we have emotional reactions to it? Absolutely. But money is not the emotional thing. Money is just this dead thing that, like this book, it's got some substance to it. But it's a factual thing. You look at your bank account, that is a factual thing. Now the meaning that we attach to it, that's something else. That's a whole different thing. Right,
and that's a big part of journaling every day, part of you creating your reality, exactly what you're saying.
Right.
And what I've been hearing, especially from a lot of my clients, as you said, I am a hypnotherapist, so I do therapeutic hypnosis. And for my clients, that is one of their, I guess that's one of, especially in the United States, you know, some of the third world countries, their biggest issue is not money. They're so used to being without. But I believe that a big part of the aspect of money is because of a religious aspect. And I could say that and hold true to that, because I was told as a kid to stop saying I wanted to be rich.
Yeah, my mother's favorite saying was, well, other people may be rich, but we have love. So it sets up this belief that if you have money, you don't have love.
Which creates your reality. And then and that's part of your life script. What we have is called a life script, which I explain in my journal. And your life script is actually it's very much like a movie. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end.
And if you're seeing the end, you're on the other side?
Oh, no.
Okay.
At the end.
Hey, in my world, the work I do, yeah, it's kind of like, okay.
Well, at the end is the end of how you actually would like to live life. So we had a beginning where we were reared by someone with their life script. And what happens is we abide by their rules and regulations. As I was saying, I was told when I was younger about money is the root of all evil. And so if people are trained with that mentality, with that mindset to believe money is the root of all evil, no matter how rich they would like to become and fruitful they would like to become and successful, a lot of people don't realize they have a fear of success as they get older, and they battle with internal conflicts on why they actually are not seeing the increase of money. And that's because subconsciously, where all of our memory is held, whether it's good, whether it's bad, or whether it's indifference, that becomes your known behavior.
And it's based around beliefs, right?
And
You've accepted a combination of beliefs that's supporting all of that.
Right, because your subconscious it holds on to your belief. It holds on to your rituals. Again, this could be great, positive, negative. It doesn't matter. That's what the subconscious holds on to. And so by journaling daily, what you would do is you would change that, because you would actually journal what you truly want to believe, what it is you truly are looking to do in life. And believe it or not, by journaling daily, I know people, I do in my book explain the difference between journaling daily, well, the way I teach you to journal daily, and affirmations, also versus meditation, also versus conscious thinking.
Now, because versus means against it. So,
well, yeah, I do say versus, although using affirmations and journaling is actually a form of meditation.
It can be.
Yeah, it's absolutely a form of meditation, and especially when you get to. Well, I'm also a handwriting analysis specialist. So, because I'm a handwriting analysis specialist, when you get to a certain part of your writing on a sheet of paper, you're absolutely totally in your subconscious. And that's why you could write something. You ever wrote anything and went back and read over it and didn't remember writing it?
Well, yeah, I've had those experiences. What I'm sitting here puzzled about is, I'm sure you could tell some kid that when he's sitting in a math class and he's writing, he's not in his sacred space. I mean, there's a lot of ways of writing. I think it has to do with intention.
Well, I will let you know, because again, as a handwriting analysis specialist, we were all, well, most of us, I know, especially in the United States, we were reared and we went to school and we learned the Palmer method of handwriting, which is having a green border across the top of a blackboard, and it showed you exactly how to write. Yeah,
and you had to make things a certain height, and which they're taking that down now.
Right, and it's fine that they take it down, but the thing that they should never diminish away from education is script writing.
Right, I agree with you.
And the reason they shouldn't is because actually when you write in script, there is an actual body-mind connection that people do not resonate with.
Right. I know in the shamanic work that I do, there are times when I'm having people write things down, because especially people that are in their heads a lot.
Okay.
Because you need to get that energy out of your head and down through. And sometimes I will tell them, okay, we're going to make a ritual about this, because shamanic healing is a lot about ritual and ceremony.
Right.
So if you will find a book that means something to you. Now, me personally, I have one book that I pack around all year. And I like writing with a pencil instead of a pen, because I like the sound of it going across. I mean, there are things about it that I like that help me.
Although this is your show, let me stop you there. And the reason you like writing with a pencil instead of a pen, again, I am a handwriting analysis specialist, is because people that write with a pencil are actually people that like to be in control of something.
Oh, well, so she just stopped me cold, didn't she? George is a witness. Yeah. I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know about that because I'll be open to that as a possibility.
Yeah, it is
but
actually
when I get
a scientific
down,
fact.
Well, but what I'm talking about is when I'm sitting down and I want to bring something through.
Right.
I like the sound of the pencil. I like the artsy part of it, the graphite that goes.
Oh, okay.
So otherwise.
Now, are you talking about writing, literary writing, or are you speaking on pictures and
I'm
images
talking about
and symbols?
Since I lead a lot of people in journeys, on shamanic journeys, and on which is not the same as meditation, but it's close. They cross over every
Right.
once in a while. When I get done going on a journey, I like to record that, the thoughts that I want to remember, because many times, if I'm not recording it like on a phone, many times there are things I want to remember as triggers. So I like using a pencil to do that.
Okay, and
And
again,
then there's that, and then there's the other kind of writing, the form where you'd use it. If you're right-handed, you use left-handed, automatic writing.
right,
I would rather do that with a pencil as well.
and that's if you're ambidextrous, which I am also. Well, again, writing with a pencil. I know you don't want to hear it, but
Oh no, that's fine.
it is,
I'm open to it.
and it's something I am willing to even come speak to you and your group about. Writing with a pencil, again, is a form of wanting to be in control, and I touch on that in the journal, but I don't go far. Now, the what you're speaking about writing down things and you wanting to actually be able to reflect back on them at a later date.
Yeah, it's just making notes, and plus the fact, since I write music, there are things about lyrics that I would rather write in pencil.
So because you can
Part
erase,
of it.
right? It's
I can erase it. I mean,
erase
so I
and go
really
back.
think it depends on the intention of what you're doing it
But
for.
that's what it said.
you know.
That's the purpose. That's why it's called a control, a person that's in control, because you can actually change it. Now, when you write in pen, you can't change it. Whatever the subconscious thought was is what it will be, and that's what you will be stuck with. And you can always, of course, go back in and change it to what you want it to be. And that's what makes my journal so great, is because if you open the book here, you'll notice that for people like you that are musicians and other people, you actually have a customized table of contents here. Because, again, you're writing music, and I'm sure there's things that you write in your music at times, because I also am a songwriter. There's sometimes things we write in our music, and we go back and read over it, and we be like, you may not have remember writing that. So the great thing about this journal, again, you're creating your own reality. And if there is a time that you want to remember something that you wrote, most journals don't have a table of contents. Well, mine have a customized table of contents where you would actually jot down what it is you actually wanted to remember, and you could go back to the page number. Because one of the things about handwriting is at a particular age, whether you're younger, again, in schools they taught the Palmer method. Very few people ever really learned it. And besides the fact that very few people ever learned it, at a certain age, you actually customize your own handwriting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mine looks totally different. I mean, I can make it look like that.
Absolutely.
But it took on its own character.
Yes, and that comes with whether you're feeling well or not. No matter what your age is, your moods, your feelings, we actually write different each and every time. And then you can actually, if you knew a little bit more about handwriting analysis, you would actually see when you were feeling great and optimistic, when you were having pessimistic times in your life. This is actually reflected through your handwriting.
Yeah, no, that's true. I can see it. I can tell it in my own handwriting. So let's back up here, because, I definitely want people to have an idea that your book is out there. But let's talk about the person, because there are a lot of people. I'm not an everyday journaler.
Right, and there's a lot of people that
There's a lot of people that
and
aren't.
although I wrote up my own journal, there are days that I'm going to be honest, I don't journal. There are months that I journal.
Oh, yeah.
But
I
there
will do
are
it weeks in a row.
days
Yeah.
I sit still and I actually won't journal, and still whatever it is that I wanted happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is so. What I'm talking to is people that have never journaled before, and I hear more people say that they don't journal than do. I mean, Oprah's probably, you and I were talking the other day, she's probably one of the best journalers on the planet.
Besides myself.
Besides yourself, yeah. It's not something that they have to, my experience is, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but my experience is if people make it a ritual, if they make it a ritual somehow, where there's maybe this certain time of day, they like to light a candle, they like to do certain things that make it a ceremony. I've seen people be more successful with that to get started.
That's totally not necessary, I will say. I do agree with you. I agree with you. There are people that do it. But journaling, actually, you understand what we think has power.
Oh, thoughts become things.
Okay, our thoughts are power. Our words are power. So the thoughts that we have are powerful. Mm-hmm. They can be counterproductive in our life, or they can be actually productive. Therefore, if you have great thoughts and you would like to actually see them come to fruition, journaling is a great way to see that happen, because when you journal, especially the way I teach you to journal, it's nothing you have to dwell on. It's much like a prayer. If you say a prayer, it's something that you want to come true. It's words, your thoughts. That's a prayer. And journaling is again, like we said, we come from a spiritual plank, and journaling is much like that. What your thoughts, you can change your thoughts.
So many times I will have people tell me, well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you have to, in my world, you have to be aware of what your thoughts, because how many thoughts are there a day?
About 1,500. About 1,500,
yeah,
something like that, yeah. 15,000, something.
Way more
like
than
that.
I want to count. But we have thoughts constantly.
Right.
And even in our dreams, I believe we have thoughts. Now, one of the times I will write more than anything else is if I've had a dream that really sticks with me, and I'll want to record it, because I've found that maybe down the road it makes more sense on the other side, you know. But thoughts become things has been something that was a big part of the healing process in my life, because I found, because of the certain beliefs that I carried, I thought about things in a certain way. So if I changed the thoughts, I could change my beliefs.
Absolutely. And what it is called, again, is your life script. You are actually the producer, the director, and the star of your life script. And a lot of what you think about is because of the way you were reared. There's certain things, beliefs, and rules and regulations you had to abide by because you were a child. Then when
I was supposed to.
Okay, right. And
George is smiling too.
We all have
to.
Right, and what happens is they become imprinted. And I'll give you a perfect example. When I was a child, we went to a certain religious institution, and I personally did not agree with a lot of the religious teachings, and I was very verbal and got slapped in my mouth a lot by my mom and dad. And my thing was, I said, when I get older, I didn't want to be a part of it, but because there was something in it in me that knew that there were other things that this religious teaching that they were teaching, the religious teachings that were being imprinted in my life script, for some reason I didn't believe was going to be a part of my life later on in life, like as in now.
Well, it didn't line up with the core of who you were.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And this is what I'm saying. So therefore, at a certain point, you have to be able to create your own reality. And I know adults till today that will fight with themselves again internally, go against what they believe and how great they could be. And it's all about us being great and giving back. And they'll go totally against that because of things that they believe that it would be, for lack of a better word, like they're being defiant towards the teachings of their mother, their father, their grandmother. And these are adults, and they're still. So what happens is you become stuck, and what we have is blocks. And this is why a lot of people wind up not being able to actually succeed and become the better them, the masterpiece that they really are. Because of their life script was written, it was actually someone else's life script, their parents' life script.
So you've written a book to help people with those blocks. This is a way. This is one
Absolutely.
way to remove those blocks.
Oh,
and it is about keeping a daily journal and doing it in a certain way. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
And journaling for me, and going through a spiritual when you're going through a spiritual journey, I should say, you go through several phases. So I have went through the phase where I would repeat affirmations several times a day, and went through the meditation phase, and then have these conscious thoughts that now that I went through the meditation phase and I went through affirmations, have these conscious thoughts again, that today is the day that I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Now here it is, the difference between journaling and having these conscious thoughts. Conscious thoughts, believe it or not, last for about 24, 48 hours. That's it. That's why people have these great aha moments. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And before you know it, it doesn't happen, and they're right back where they started from. Now, the difference with that and journaling, once you put it down, the universe is gravitated towards the universe. There's not much you can do when your thoughts and the universe, the ethers of the universe, connect. It's going to happen.
So the way I translate that into what I do, because there's a big part of what I do that you don't know what I do.
Okay.
is it has to do with invoking the universe, and writing would be one way that you can do it.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because if I go out there, and one of the things I do in my healing circles is people will come in, and there's a point after I've welcomed whatever spirits or guiding teachers have come into the room, or whatever has happened there, that I invite them to, and this is done in cultures around the world,
right.
is they become part of the circle. They say, I am, and this is why I'm here. I am here because somebody drugged me here, or I'm here because I'm really grappling with depression and I want to know how to deal with that. You have just now invited the universe to come in and help you with that in some way. So there's another way to do it, but I think that writing is a really powerful way because there is that body, mind, spirit connection that's actually you're creating something while you're doing it.
And here's the thing, a lot of times when people want to move forward in life, they dwell on it.
Oh, yeah.
And when you dwell on things, what happens, it eventually causes voluntary or involuntary stress. Mm-hmm. And if you have that stress filtered in as an infiltration into the riches and successes that you are, and the rewards you are looking to get from the universe, right there, you're putting blocks in the middle, like again, in the ethers of getting what it is you actually want. So by you actually journaling, you're putting it there one time. You don't have to think about it. Of course, with anything we want in life, I will never tell anyone that you don't have to take action. But that's one adequate step.
Yeah,
for
I
taking
think it's a
action
beginning step.
for you to be right, for you to actually come to terms with what it is you want to either, because journaling is more than just trying to be successful. There's things we need to let go. Again, like you were saying earlier, people are having a hard time. They're very a distraction now with these relationships, very distracted, and again having these.
Well, I think the truth is coming up about them. Energetically, what's happening? The truth is coming up about them, and it's coming up in such a way that people can't ignore it anymore. I know at least the 2 or 3 people I've talked to in the last week who that's specifically what has happened. All of a sudden, things that they intuitively knew weren't quite right, but they had settled or they had moved around. They'd settled and they'd made it okay so they could stay in the relationship. It's not okay anymore.
Right, and people that I speak to, family, friends, I do tell them what's going on actually is the world is gravitating towards awareness. Yeah. And this is why alternative practices are becoming alternative healings and energy work and shamanic work and hypnotherapy. People can't see it right now, but it's what the world is gravitating towards, because we're going to have 2 worlds. I know people like to believe that the world is going to end all at one time. I never believed that. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I never have either.
Right. But what is happening right now, we are coming into awareness. So we're going to, this world is going to be separated different than a lot of people think. What it is you're going to have those that are aware, that have gravitated towards awareness, that their awareness has come to light, and they have understood. And these are the people that are going to live. It's almost going to be like on one part of the earth, and then you're going to have those people that turn a deaf ear and never really understood and never became aware. And
it's going to be bumpy. And it's going to be tough.
Yeah, and cause their own destruction.
And people are saying, well, what does that mean? Because they've been calling. I think it's because the institutions and the things that we have held on to for so long as being, like I said earlier about me personally, that these were the truth. The structures are changing because the world is coming into awareness, and it doesn't hold up anymore. The banking institutions are having to change. The big meltdown of 2008, that was all about things transforming again. It had to. We couldn't go out and buy a house and say, oh, yeah, I make this much money, and they never check on it, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in hot water because you can't afford it.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and there's a great transformational breakthrough going on. I know a lot of people feel different. I even have clients, just as you have your clients tell you they feel a difference. I have clients that tell me they feel very different. They don't know what's going on with them. They want to believe something great is going on, but then some of them are very afraid because they really don't know what it is that's going on.
And that's that thing of some people will say, why won't people step out there? Why won't they do that? And I said, well, that's where the devil you know is better than the one you don't know. That's where that steps in. People know how to act a certain way. And sometimes, believe it or not, that's more comforting than stepping out into the void and taking a step and not knowing what's going to happen. People don't like that, you know?
And if I can just elaborate on that, what happens is, and I'm not going to get deep into this because I know we don't have the time. Oh, we do? Well, what happens is, for most that, if you understand the mind, we actually don't use nothing but about those that use 12% of their mind are rich, famous, and out there, or just, and if you're not rich and famous, you're getting the things that you really, really, truly desire in life. We're actually very powerful, and because people don't understand how powerful they are because of the intuitiveness of their mind, they tend not to use it. And because they tend not to use it, what happens is we have what's called knowns in our subconscious. Now, if you just look at it, the mind is 100%, but around 88% of the mind is the subconscious.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're adding a little to it all the time. But the movie Lucy. Did you see
I
that?
love Lucy. Oh,
Lucy,
yes.
I mean, that's what I thought of as soon as you started talking.
Yes,
Lucy,
I wanted to bring that up, but I didn't want to. Then I didn't. But
you can bring up anything. This is no holds barred radio here, right?
Yes, and okay. So I'm glad you brought up Lucy, and for all those listeners that are watching, if they saw Lucy, they may get a better understanding of Lucy when I explain actually what's going on in the subconscious of the mind. We have what's called knowns and unknowns, and to give you a perfect example of a known is if you all your life, you, let's say, taking it from a negative aspect,
right?
All you knew was abuse, whether it's physical, mental, verbal. All you knew was abuse. You grow up and you believe that's how the world is. That's how the world is. That's how you should behave. And although you don't like it and you do know that there's something wrong with it, that's a known. Well, what happens is that known can be replaced. Again, you could do that through journaling or just through the power of your own mind of now knowing, believing, and understanding that whatever happened to you then wasn't correct, and how you're living, it's not correct, and then changing it.
Yeah, that's called changing your thoughts and changing your life.
Right, but those are positives, and those are called knowns and unknowns. Also explained in my journal. Those are knowns and unknowns in the mind. And the great thing about the subconscious is it does not understand your reality.
No.
It does not understand your fantasy. So some people think that how they live, they're stuck there. You're not stuck. Because actually the way you create your own reality is because, again, you are the star, the producer, and the director of your own life script. And you have what's called imprints in your life script. And whatever your life script has been imprinted with thus far, if it's not something that you desire, you have the ability to change that. And one of the ways you can change it, again, and I know this might sound a little cheesy. I'm not just trying to advocate my book here, but that is another way you can change it, is by writing what it is you truly desire, what it is you truly want to release, and actually letting it go. It takes practice. We're human. So I'm not acting like everything is so easy.
I have a whole, there's a ritual and a ceremony I do with people. Not all the time. I mean, it's whatever is called for. And what they literally have them do is go on a journey. It's called soul releasing. And what they do is they go on a journey, and I take them to their guiding spirit or teacher. And this is working with divine light. You need to understand. And asking that teacher or guide, who is it that I need to let go of? And I say, just be open. It never fails. There's a name in there that you haven't thought of in a long time. And then what we do is we come back and I have them write it down. I have them say, just write down something that you've always wanted to say to that person. And just, I don't know, it's good, bad, indifferent, screw you, it doesn't matter.
I do the same thing in hypnotherapy, so I understand.
We wrap it in sage, and then we go out and do a fire ceremony, and we release it to the energy. We release it to the spirit of the universe, and say, and it acts like a spiritual mailbox, and say, here, take this, heal it, do whatever you want, and then send it to that person when it's time. I don't decide what that is. They don't decide what that is.
Right.
But there's where the writing comes in again. I think it's fascinating because we have got, like you said, in this culture, in the Western culture, we've gotten away from the organicness of body, mind, spirit. And I think what you do and what I do helps bring that back into play, because you got to have the balance of all three.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think what you're doing is really fantastic to take that on, because journaling is something that has happened. You know, people have been writing for a long time. History was recorded by the victors. People didn't have a way of writing. Most of the population back during the time when all the great books were written, there was only people in the church and a few educated people that could write. Oh, yeah. So it came through in folklore and stories and theater and that kind of thing. And some things have been kept alive because without a written history. But I think the power of being able to think it in your mind and write it down organically on a piece of paper, or I think it's better than typing it. I mean, you can get a certain amount. I've noticed when I'm creating, I can do a certain amount on the computer, but it usually has to do with the speed at which I'm thinking.
Well, again, when you write, it's called an ideomotor response. And the ideo is actually something that is being strived from the universe. And I also explained that in the book. And this is why I was compelled to actually not just make a journal book, because if anybody knows the wealth for author, I mean, it's rough out there. It's past the word rough. Okay. So the again, I can understand why typing would not actually. That's more of what we would call a digital response.
Right.
Again, you're in control of the type and the stop, the correct date.
I just think there's a disconnection.
There's a disconnect. It's not
connection.
an ideo. That's not the body-mind connection. The body-mind connection comes through writing, and it comes through script writing, not just printing. Because again, printing, just like writing with the pencil, is for people that, if you are one of those people that feel the need to be in control, then maybe you want to pick up a pen and start writing in script, and that'd be something.
Oh, it's a different experience entirely.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I've noticed that.
And that's a whole spiritual, subconscious experience.
So we've got about 5 minutes left. So I want to hold this up. Can you see this, George? Is this on the screen? Okay, this is the book, and this is written by Deborah Aiken, who's a certified hypnotherapist.
Certified master hypnotherapist and training.
And there's something else. Oh, a creative writer.
Right, I'm a creative writer because
you have other books too. You have the Pop Bubble.
Pop That Bubble, Release Your Dream.
Pop That Bubble, okay.
That book actually that you just held up, I bought that in for you because I didn't get the new copies in time.
Yeah, there's a new cover. I thought the new cover looked
gold.
Great.
I said this journal is golden to me.
Yep.
So what I did is I made the book cover gold now, so it's gold and it's red, and I sent you a copy of it, and I'll give you a copy of it.
Oh, that's great.
When it comes in.
So tell them, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, give them the phone number, email. This is the way to do it. Because this will be on YouTube. This is going to be sitting on YouTube in a couple hours, so they can listen to it and get it again.
Okay, great. Okay, my name is Deborah Aiken again, and I am a certified master hypnotherapist and trainer. I actually also am known as the mind masseuse because hypnosis is actually a way of massaging the mind. You know, you go to the gym to massage your body.
Which is how we met.
Right, which is
how we met. She chased me down in the parking lot. She heard me singing while I was walking and listening to the thing and said,
yes, which is how we met.
A couple years ago.
Yes, a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And actually, because hypnosis, again, that it's a way to get you, for you to pursue your goals, or an accelerated way for you to make things happen. Because once with hypnosis experience, what the difference is going to the gym is you get to relax. It's the only exercise you'll ever get where you actually get to relax. And I do all the work, but you get results.
Yeah.
And so therefore, and I'm also a writer, but that's my passion, songwriting. And at the age of 100, I'm still looking forward to making my record.
As long as the brain can connect to the lips, I'm going to do it. Yeah. So do you have a phone number they can reach you at?
Oh, absolutely. My telephone number is 702-490-9598. Again, that's 702-490-9598. I can also be contacted at Deborah my website. I apologize. That's www.deborahAiken.com.
And there's a dash between the E and the B.
That's a www.de dash,
Yep.
an actual dash in the middle, BORAHAIKEN.com.
Well, thanks for coming in. It was great.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Great.
And I'm Elena Risto. I'm a shamanic healer and singer and teacher. And this is Soul
With a
Chat.
beautiful voice,
Thank
beautiful
you.
voice.
Thank you.
Like she said, I chased it down the parking
He's gonna
lot.
play. He's gonna play the theme song. You'll hear it. She's never heard it before, so let it play out a little bit. And I'm gonna be Wednesday night, tomorrow night. Where am I gonna be? I am going to be at Spirit Us Reiki Center doing a shamanic healing circle. You can reach me at 702-304-8464. This week, think about it. If you have a thought that you don't understand, maybe just take a piece of paper and write it down and put it away and come back and look at it later. But Deborah's right. It is a good, Deborah, yeah. It is a good way to connect the mind, body, and spirit. Have a great week. Next week, Mary Rose is back. Psychic Mary Rose, we're going to talk about another full moon and how to go from chaos to clarity. See you then. Have a great week. Bye.
Here I am, standing at the door, looking back at life as it's been before, holding on to things that might have been, knowing that this day will never come.